All right, so when you and Grandpa met at the bar, did you, or well, you didn't meet at the bar, but you were introduced at a party.
Yeah.
So then did you start dating right away? How did it go?
Yeah, I think we started dating right away.
Okay.
And then, yeah, we dated real steady after that, you know, right away. And of course, I think both of us had dates before, and you know,
Yeah.
and nothing worked out for either one of us, you know,
Right.
and the people we dated before. I think we just kind of found each other, and so we became engaged right away, and
How long did you date before you got engaged?
probably 2 months.
Wow. And then when did you get married?
Got married 2 months later. Well, we were going to wait till, we got married in September, we were going to wait till March. But I had a mother who had a very strong will, and she thought it would be better if we got married in September because my sister would be there to be the maid of honor.
Okay.
And my sister, turned out she got pregnant, and so she couldn't be there anyway.
Oh no.
So she didn't get to be my maid of honor, but we had to set up everything already
Right.
for the wedding. And
Which
his
sister
folks,
is this?
His folks came out for the wedding. This was great.
Which sister was that?
Mary Lou.
Oh, okay.
So
So.
she had gotten married in May,
Oh, okay.
and so she was going to come out and be in my wedding.
So what day, what year did you get married? September?
September the 27th in 1952.
Okay. And so.
Is that right? Yeah, that would be right. 1952.
So Grandpa was still in the Marines at this point?
Oh yes, he still had 3 more years to serve
Was
in the Marines.
Did he marry you in his uniform?
No, he wanted to,
Oh, okay.
but nobody else would have been in uniform.
Oh, so he wore a
Because
suit.
all of his ushers and everything were this gang of friends of ours, mutual friends of ours.
Uh-huh. So everybody wore suits?
Yeah.
So was the Korean War still going on at this time?
Yes, it was. It was in. It didn't. The Korean War wasn't over till '53, but my brothers, my older brother, had joined the service in 1942, and he was still in the Navy. He had been a career Navy man.
Okay.
He decided he liked it, and so he stayed in.
Which brother is this?
Dick, my oldest brother. And then the next brother, he joined the service in, I think it was in, must have been 1947, 46 or 47. And
who is this?
And this is Pat.
And how?
His name was Charles Patrick.
Okay.
And he went to Officers Candidate School, so he enlisted.
Oh wow.
But he went to Officers Candidate School, and then he elected to go into the Air Force.
Okay.
Well, actually, it wasn't, at that time, there was no Air Force.
It didn't exist, right?
It was Army Air Force.
Yes.
So he went into the Air Force, and he took his training in Texas. And then you have a choice of what you want to do, and he wanted to be a jet pilot.
Okay.
And they had just come into being the jet pilots, the jet, and he took that training in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Okay.
And my mom and dad went down for that, pin his wings on, or what they call it.
Graduation type ceremony. Wow.
And I should have remembered this before where I was, because I would think I was the babysitter for Jim and Tom when they were gone on this little trip.
So did he go to Korea then?
My brother, it was about 2 years later that
Okay.
he went to, he actually got stationed in Japan.
Okay.
And he was there for, I don't know, 6 months or so. And as soon as the war broke out in Korea, he was right there, being in Japan, so he went right away over. And I found out later that he wasn't flying a jet. I mean, it took me a long time, years, to find out he really wasn't flying a jet when he crashed. He crashed on the 22nd of August. That's when they said he was missing. My folks got a message he was missing in action.
Okay.
And I don't know how long it was they discovered that he, that they had, I guess it was when they had the invasion and drove North Korea out. They found the bodies and whatnot.
Okay.
And his co-pilot was a kid from Seattle.
Oh, really?
But I found all this out later on,
Huh.
and, you know, just researching. And one of the things I found out that he really wasn't flying a jet. He's flying an observation plane. You know, like they just fly over to find out where things are.
Where things are, yeah.
And so that's...
He wasn't like fighting and shooting or anything like that, yeah.
No, just observing, and he got shot down, is what happened,
Huh.
by the ground forces.
Okay. So shot down in South Korea, or
It was actually, yeah, it was in South Korea, and then they found the bodies after
after they drove him
they
out?
found the wreckage and whatnot, so,
Huh.
but it was a long time. It was very hard on my parents,
I'm sure.
very hard time.
So August 22nd of what year was that?
That was 1950,
Okay.
right after the war broke out. And then my the next brother, Joe Wenzel, he enlisted right when he was 18, so it must have been 46 or 47, Navy.
Okay.
And he was in the Navy, and when the war was over, I think he only had to serve 2 years. But then, what happened, the Korean War broke out, and he got called back in, because you're already in the reserves, they don't let you go. So he was gone when my brother was killed.
Okay.
And my sister Mary Lou had just joined the Waves Navy
Huh.
that same time. So she was gone when my brother, she'd just gone to basic training.
What was that? What's
The Waves.
What
You
is
know
that?
about the Waves?
I've never heard of that.
The Women's Navy.
Okay.
You know how WACs are for the Army? You don't know?
I've never heard of this before.
Well, they had women they were segregated back then. Now it's not segregated.
Right.
But back then, you had the Women's Army,
And
and they were called WACs.
Okay.
And you had the Women's Navy, and they were called Waves.
And so are they on ships? Like, what are they doing there?
Mostly they were either in the medical field or office.
Okay, office work.
Yeah.
Clerical
They
type
didn't do
stuff.
much.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think Mary Lou was trying to be a air traffic controller.
Okay, yeah,
That's what she was training for,
right,
to be, when she was that's where she met her husband.
okay.
He was in the Navy they were stationed in Kingsville, Texas.
Okay.
And so, it was really sad for my parents, because my oldest brother was gone in the Navy,
Yeah,
and then my brother that was killed, when he was killed and all of that.
yeah,
And my brother Joe had already been deployed to the Navy.
Right.
This is all in 1950.
yeah.
Then my sister had just joined
And she's
the
gone.
Waves,
Yeah,
and she
right.
was gone. And
Were you home?
I was home. Yeah, I was home, and well, actually, I'd just gotten a job
Oh, no.
over in Ephrata, Washington. I got a job working for the government
Okay.
I had taken my entrance exams to work for the the typing and clerical work for the shipyard. I'd just taken them, I'd passed, and they ask you, where do you want to work? You fill out a form. And I just said, Washington State,
Mm-hmm.
thinking Bangor, Keyport, Bremerton. So they offered me a job in Ephrata, Washington.
Is that
It's over
central?
east of the mountains,
Oh,
yeah.
oh gosh.
Moses Lake,
Oh,
that
no.
area. So I thought I had to take it, so I took it. I didn't know anybody in Moses in that area at all.
Oh my gosh.
My mom she's a pretty good manager. She wrote the priest over there.
Oh.
Said, my daughter is, what was I, 19 years old, something like that, 18,
Yeah.
19. Never been away from home. It's moving over there. Can you find it? Is there a place, a decent place she could live? Well, they found a school teacher, a woman school teacher who lived with her mother, and they had a room in the basement, so they gave me that room, so that's where I went.
So how long did you live there for?
3 months.
Didn't last too long, huh?
No.
Okay.
But I thought, you know, and then the war was going, then I thought I could get a job easily in the shipyard.
Yeah.
You know, because the shipyard was booming
Yeah.
for him, looking for him, so.
You
So I
came
just,
back
my
home.
mom suggested that I come home.
Yeah.
I mean, she was still pretty controlling,
Yeah.
and I was still pretty submissive.
Yeah.
You
You were
know, I
young.
wasn't that wild or anything that, so.
Yeah.
But she knew, I guess she knew what she was doing. That's why she kind of moved our wedding up for us
Right.
from March to September.
So when you and Grandpa got married, where did you live?
Our first house was on 7th and High.
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of halfway, because he had to walk to work and I had to walk to work.
Okay.
He went to the naval gate and I went to the main gate.
Right there.
And I worked in the personnel department in the shipyard.
Okay.
Is that house still there?
Pardon?
Is the house still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little house in the back. It's, well, I think one of the streets, right, like High goes this way, and then I think it's 8th Street kind of dead ends right into that house, the house in front. So, but, you know, we both had to walk to work back then. You just didn't, there was no bus that would get you there any
Right.
quicker. So that's, and then we stayed there for, I think, a year.
Okay. So you were married in 52.
Yeah.
When did Mike come along?
Mike came in 54.
Okay. So you had a little bit of a honeymoon together, huh?
Well, a little bit, yeah. We got married in 52 in September, and he was born in March 54,
Okay.
so it was a year and a half.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so where did you live? You said you lived after that house on High Street. Where did you move to?
Another, my mom she was in my life a lot, wasn't she?
What are mothers for?
She suggested that we move into an apartment that was rented by my oldest brother and his wife, because he was in California and this apartment was at Naval Gate.
Okay.
And she wanted to go down there and be with him,
Uh-huh.
but she didn't want to have to pay for an apartment for 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
Actually, it was just 3 months. And Mom says, why don't you just move in and you pay for the apartment? And then where were we supposed to go?
After those 3 months?
Yeah, we didn't have that planned out. We just, I don't know what it was, but that's the way we were.
So,
And then actually at that time, when we were living in that apartment by Naval Gate, that's when Lee got out of the service. That was February and Mike was he was born that.
yeah, okay.
We were living in that little apartment
Okay.
when my water broke and we went to the hospital. And the thing was that my due date, he was early, and it didn't coincide with his getting out of the service. So I thought, well, I just might as well go to a regular doctor rather than go to the naval hospital, you know.
Because he'll be out of the service when
Yeah,
when
that's
Mike
what I
arrives.
figured, but he
Yeah.
came early. He was born March the 3rd, and Lee got out, well, actually, Lee got out, February. He got out in February, the end of February. And that's when he took the test for apprentice school, and he got called up that June for apprentice school. And for those 3 months, he worked at Chevron gas station over in Port Orchard.
Huh. So he worked at the gas station, then he gets the apprenticeship at the shipyard.
Yeah.
And what was the apprenticeship for?
Well, it was, he really wanted to get into electronics, I think, but they had a big closure of some facilities over in Idaho,
Uh-huh.
and they had apprentices there that they didn't want to just let them go.
So they moved them all.
So they moved them all. So all the best
Apprenticeships
ships
were
were taken by these guys that moved over.
Okay.
So he ended up a machinist.
Okay.
So he ended up with a machinist, and it turned out really good for him, though.
Yeah.
He was happy, and they met, and he became close friends for life to all the guys that he served his apprenticeship with. They became very good friends all 4 years that they, went through apprentice school together.
So why don't we just list here in Washington who was born? So you had Mike born.
Mike was born in 54.
And then Patty.
Patty was born in 55.
Was it the twins next?
No.
Beth?
Beth was born in 56.
And then.
Twins were born in 58.
And then Teresa.
Teresa was born in 60.
And
I started spacing.
You got smart after the twins, huh?
I was spacing according to the calendar, but it didn't work.
Oh.
Like Cecil used to said, maybe that second hand was off.
The second hand. So when you and Grandpa had my mom, I think what you said is you have 4 kids in diapers, isn't that right?
Well, the twins and Beth, Patty wasn't in diapers.
Right. So, it was the twins with.
And Beth.
Okay. So.
Mike was not 4 years old yet.
Oh my goodness.
Beth was 14 months old. Patty was 2.5. And Mike was 3 and almost, he would have been 4 in March.
Wow.
And they were born in January, and he wasn't 4 till March. So I had 5, and the oldest one was 3.
Oh my goodness. How did you survive?
I don't remember. I really don't.
Wow.
I had a good friend named Joy Milovich that she had 4 or 5 boys herself, but she helped me. She was really helpful.
That's good.
And we lived in Belfair. We had moved to Belfair when Mike was a baby.
Uh-huh.
Well, before Patty was born.
Right.
And we moved into a 1-bedroom house.
Ooh.
That had 2.5 acres.
You could put the kids outside, I guess.
And it had a nice wood shed. And had a nice big garage. Well, it wasn't really a garage. It was made from timbers.
Oh, wow.
It was a very nice place, really was. I mean, it was, but we stayed there till the twins were in that 1-bedroom. It was a big bedroom.
Yeah. So, were you putting babies in drawers? I mean,
What?
Were you putting babies in the drawers? Where do you?
Well, the twins slept in the same crib till
Okay.
they were, I don't know how old they were. One at one end, one at the other.
Okay.
Because they were premature. They were only 4 pounds something when they were born.
Right.
And so they were tiny. They were
Yeah.
tiny for a long time,
Yeah.
And I forget. I think Teresa was born in Bremerton. I mean, we were living in Bremerton on Montgomery
Okay.
when Teresa was born.
Yeah.
So we didn't stay too long in that 1-bedroom
Yeah.
after the twins were born.
So.
Probably not even a year. I don't think we stayed there. But it was a beautiful little place. I mean, it's a shame we couldn't make it work better.
Right.
Were you renting or did you buy it?
We bought it. There was a nothing down GI. And we thought nothing down meant nothing down. They said closing costs. We said, what are closing costs? $140 closing costs. I can't remember exactly, but it was close. We didn't have $140, so Lee had a shotgun that he had bought, I guess, a year or so. We bought when he got out of the service. He bought it from one of his, he had mustering out pay, so he bought this shotgun. So he bought it from one of his friends in the Army, or in the Marine Corps. And so he said, I can hawk that. So he did.
And
He
that's
hawked
how
it, and he got enough money for closing costs
Oh my goodness.
on this. But it was a nothing down GI. It was 4% interest, which was a big deal at that time.
Yeah.
That was, and it was, I think it was $35 a month rent, payments.
Mortgage payments.
Mortgage, yeah, but that included your taxes and everything, So it was a good deal when you only had 2 kids, but then you ended up 5. Nothing flat.
Yeah.
So, but it had a little washroom where we had the patio. And we made bunk beds out of, that were just the length of what a crib would be. You know,
Okay.
like a,
Mini
not
bunk?
very long,
Yeah.
you know, and we just made bunk beds for Patty and Mike out of that. And then poor Beth ended up having to sleep in the bottom bunk with Patty. So it was pretty cozy.
So would you say Grandpa was helpful feeding bottles at night and things like that?
Oh, it was great.
Oh,
It was
good.
great. With the twins, when they come home, feeding the twins when they come home from the hospital is a 24-hour job, just to feed them, because it took an hour and a half to feed each one. For
Really?
them to get to drink 2 ounces, 2.5 ounces,
Because they were so
took an hour and a
little.
half, because they didn't have the strength
Yeah.
to suck and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so we had a deal where I think he'd stay up till midnight, and then he'd go to bed, and then I would take
The rest of the night.
or it was vice versa, I don't remember which way it
Yeah.
was. But so that each of us could get at least 4 or 5 hours straight sleep.
Wow.
He said one time at work, he was at lunchtime, and he was sitting there and he had lunch, and all of a sudden he went like that. He said he thought he dropped the baby. But it was, and one time we fed the same one twice. We kept our, we had a way, we put them in a certain way at the end of the crib,
So you
and then
know.
they had their name tags on.
Okay.
But somehow one of us made a mistake of putting the wrong one in the
Swapping
wrong
it.
end. We weren't very smart either. You know, I mean, there probably was a million better ways to do this than what we did.
So let's talk about Panama. How did that happen? The move.
Lee had just finished his apprenticeship, I think. He just graduated, all of his friends. And one of them they came recruiting from Panama looking for craftsmen.
Okay.
Mostly machinists, because the ships would break down trying to go through the canal, some of them, you know.
And they needed to
And
fix
they
them.
needed to get fixed, and there were no facilities in Panama, you know. No facilities in Panama for that kind of an organization, you know, I mean, a shipyard, you know,
Right.
a private shipyard or anything like that. It all had to be done by the canal
Yeah.
to get those ships out of there.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have enough, so anyway, that's what they wanted with marine machinists. And so there's one friend of ours that graduated, and he went down and he came back and he had pictures and said it's wonderful, wonderful. You know, the money's good, the cost of living is cheap, etc. And so we thought we were out of reason because we had 6 kids. They were not going to pay your way down there,
Right.
create all the everything for you, and it was just unreasonable to think they would accept us. So Cecil came home then. He went down and came back and he says, "Oh, you come on down. There's people here with big families. Come on down." You know. So finally, Lee tried it. He got turned down the first time. So he had
Thank you
his,
for coming in. We're just going to the park.
where's he going?
You want to stop it?
Oh, to the park.
How are
Well, hi, Anna. How are you?